No, I didn't even know who he was until I heard him on the radio. Where would the gang you recruited to help you go? Recruited to help you go, Gunny demanded. Probably back to the ranch where we found them, John spoke in a whisper now, all the starch removed from his body. I can show you on a map. Gunny nodded and then looked at Ralph. Do you believe him? Ralph nodded his head. His experience as a prosecutor probably gave him a good idea as to whether a scumbag was lying or not, Mark thought. Gunny turned and looked at Mark. Mark nodded his head in agreement. Please kill me, John begged Gunny, crying again. You're not going to be that lucky, son, John. Leastways, not today. Gunny and Ralph cut John down and rebound him to the post in a sitting position. He seemed less like a monster and more like an errant child as he sat on the floor, still sobbing quietly. Mark could barely believe the change in him. The three men turned the lantern down to a dull glow and left John locked in the shed alone. Where did you learn to do that? Ralph asked Gunny. I saw a lot of shit during my stays in Southeast Asia. This particular trick was used by the South Vietnamese to get BC prisoners to talk. It always worked. I never suspected to use it myself, but as you can see, it does work, and don't leave no marks. It was damn quick, too, Ralph said frankly. Usually is. Only seen a few men take more than one or two jolts. I'm just glad John wasn't one of them. Me too, Mark added sincerely. Although he'd wanted John to suffer greatly at one point, he discovered it was only hate and anger, the same kind of hate and anger that had turned John into a killer. Mark vowed never to let them take him over again. He wondered how Gunny had been able to do what he'd done and not have it affect him. A second later, Mark realized he was wrong again when Gunny doubled over and retched up his dinner. Mark and Ralph each grabbed an arm and held their sick friend up. Gunny puked uncontrollably until there was nothing left, and he was only heaving. Finally, the nausea subsided, and the old man stood back up and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Must be getting a touch of the flu, he mumbled. Mark and Ralph's eyes met. Yeah, I heard there was some of that going around, Mark said, and Ralph nodded. What are we going to do with him? Ralph asked, obviously referring to John. I think I'll turn him into Barney during the debate tomorrow. Even though he had no prior knowledge or hand in the attack, he facilitated it by taking the keys to the buses and playing politics with us. I'll make him squirm in front of everyone, Mark vowed. What about the other gang? Do you think they'll be back? The big lawyer inquired. Probably not, Gunny answered. Leastways not for some time. You boys gave them some wounds they'll want to lick for a while. But just to make sure, I'll get a map and have John show me where their base is. I'll leave the batteries where John can see them just to be sure. Wednesday morning we'll send a scout squad to check it out and decide what to do. That sounds like a good plan, Gunny, Mark agreed. Now if you two will excuse me, I have to go tell Sam about Alex, he said sadly. All right. Good night, everybody. This is Jerry Diamond, How to Get Out of Babylon. It's a possibility I might do another chapter. I think I probably will. So, good night. Probably finish the book, but we'll see.